the greatest cinema icon of all time. Everyone's favorite nuclear lizard, the Big G, Goji, king of the monsters. Whatever you call him, we can all agree that Godzilla is undeniably the GOAT, holding claim to one of the longest running film franchises in cinema history ever since he stomped his way into our heart almost 70 years ago now. Now recently, this guy has been on a generational streak of wins, just an absolute career-defining run. The first week of December 2023 not only saw the theatrical release of Godzilla Minus One, which, yeah, has seemingly turned everyone into a fan that, you know, even wrote off Godzilla before as stupid, but, you know, I'll let it slide considering, you know, I love this guy, so the more people that are into him, you know, hey, at least... better late than never, I guess. I'll let it slide. But not only that, we had, in two ways, the continuation of the MonsterVerse with Monarch Legacy of Monsters. I think I forget which episode came out that day. Maybe in episode 5. I don't remember. But we had an episode of Monarch that week, and the show overall wound up being pretty solid. I give it like a 7 out of 10. I'll do a video on it one day. But we also had the trailer, the first trailer for Godzilla Kong: The New Empire. Now, I got a whole video planned for my feelings on Godzilla Kong: The New Empire leading up to the movie, so I'm not going to get into it in this video, but... And on top of all that, we've got, like, 2 brand new game collabs. We've got Godzilla, like, officially a Minecraft. Yes, I bought that. Yes, I'm going to be uploading a video on that. But we also got him, like, Dave the Diver or something. Now, look, I appreciate the game crossovers. I appreciate the collabs, but... I'm sorry, I had to. Toho, please don't leave us on a bad note. This has been the last Godzilla game we've had in 10 years. I know my copy's like dusty. Please give us a new game. Please. Now, it seems our beloved King of the Monsters just can't stop winning, right? It's just constantly new Godzilla media, new Godzilla crossovers, new Godzilla merch, all this stuff. Well, if you're a longtime fan like me, you know that wasn't always the case. Like, deadass, I used to pray for times like this type shit. Now, why is that, you may be asking? Well, it's all due to... See, now, I've been a Godzilla fan since I was about... I want to say 6. It may have been 5. It may have been 7. It was around the time the first Michael Bay Transformers movie came out, so around 2007, 2006, 2008, somewhere around that area. But anyways, I was in the car one evening with my father while I was like 5, 4, however old I was. I like very vaguely remember this, so that's why I'm including this in the video in the first place. But I was in the car yapping to my dad about King Kong or something. I vaguely remember this specific conversation because it is a pivotal moment in my life. My dad looks over at me and he asks me something. Now, I'm paraphrasing it from memory, so I could be completely wrong. But from what I remember, it was something along the lines of, you know who could beat King Kong? And so, you know, kid me. I'm a huge King Kong fan, too. And so, you know, kid me, I only knew King Kong. So, you know, him saying this, I'm thinking, well, nobody can beat King Kong. King Kong is the big ape. But for real, like, who could beat my favorite big-ass gorilla? Like, nobody's beating King Kong. So, my little kid ass just looks at him. I just shake my head no. I'm just like, no, I don't know. And so, he takes a moment. He looks at me. And he goes... Godzilla. And then if I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong, he put on the Blue Oyster Cult Godzilla song. I may or may not be wrong, but I swear I think he did. Now, I didn't know shit about Godzilla at this point. I didn't know he was a big radioactive lizard. I didn't know he shot fire out of his mouth, atomic breath. I didn't know that he had, you know, like burning forms. I didn't know he had an arch nemesis that was a 3-headed golden dragon. I didn't know any of this stuff. So, you know, my mind went just crazy on the way home. And I'm going to be honest with you all, I just thought of a bigger, just a larger ape. That's what I thought Godzilla was on that ride home. I was like, oh, it's just a bigger King Kong. And so my dad pulls up Godzilla Tokyo SOS, which has become one of my favorite ones to this day. And part of the reason why I am a Millennium Gang, I will forever rep Millennium Godzilla. It's one of my favorite eras. But he put on Godzilla Tokyo SOS, and to my surprise, Godzilla is a big-ass lizard. And kid me, because I love dinosaurs, I'm sitting there, I'm just like, holy shit, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then on top of that, there was a giant robot version of Godzilla in that movie, and I already love giant robots because Transformers. So, yeah, I instantly fell in love. It was instant. Just as soon as that movie was over, I became a fan instantly. Now, something I didn't mention, however, is that I was born in 2002. I'm a 2002 baby. I'm a Gen Z baby, unfortunately. So, when I got into Godzilla, I think we were a few years into the drought. There's no I think. We were a few years into the drought. Basically, what it was Godzilla Final Wars was like going to be the last Godzilla movie, at least for a good while. And that came out in 2004. So I would have been 2. I wouldn't have even been speaking at that point, I don't think. I may have been starting to, but I wouldn't have been yapping, that's for sure. So I got into Godzilla in this fabled, legendary 10-year drought that so many of us young Godzilla fans remember back in the day. Now, obviously, I didn't experience all 10 years of it, but I experienced a good chunk of it. It was my introduction to Godzilla, and for a few years, it was a drought. Now, it really didn't matter for the first little bit, though. There were still, 30-some movies that I hadn't watched, and then, the games and stuff I hadn't played yet. So there was plenty of new Godzilla media for me to discover that I hadn't experienced at the time. Now, the newest piece of Godzilla media that I had to grow up with was the final 2 Pipeworks games in the Pipeworks trilogy, Godzilla Save the Earth and Godzilla Unleashed, and I played the ever-living out of those. And I have emulators for Godzilla Unleashed on my PC. I'm going to try and do some videos on that sometime soon. I can't find my copy of the Wii version, sadly, so I'm going to try digging for it because that's my preferred version to play, honestly, is the Wii version. But, hey, we'll see. But once I got a little bit older, around 2009 to 2013, man, I'd pretty much watched, not all these movies. It took me until my teens to watch all of them. But I'd watched a good chunk of them. I'd watched most of the notably good ones. And so my hunger for new Godzilla content was really starting to hit. I literally remember sitting here and praying in my bed every night that I would get a new Godzilla movie or game or something. Not every night, obviously, but I do specifically remember at least once or twice sitting there and going, hey God, give me a new Godzilla movie or a new Godzilla game. Thank you. Amen. So, now, there have been rumors of a new Godzilla film going on for quite a few years at that point, but nothing concrete, no solid, actual, true announcement yet. And if you're a fan at the time like me, my brother, I salute you because we were starving. Oh my God, it was bad. Little did I know, however, that my prayers would be answered in March of 2010 with the announcement of a new Godzilla film was announced to be in development at Legendary Pictures, and about 10 months after its announcement, it was announced that Gareth Edwards would be the director of the project. Now, this is not a retrospective video. I'm going to save the big, in-depth retrospectives for these movies for a much later date. So I'm not about to get into the history of how Godzilla 2014 was made in every minute detail. We're not about to do that. Now, I remember the hype and build up to Godzilla 2014 is genuinely a life-defining time period for me. I remember that build up so fondly, man. You just had to be there. You just had to be there. There was I don't remember what it was called, but the thing at Comic-Con where you were in the office building room and you watch Godzilla walk past you by the window. That was the first glimpse we got of his design. I remember showing that to my dad. I was like, look at him, he looks so good. And he's like, I can barely tell what the fuck that is. And then I vividly remember the Comic-Con mood piece trailer leaked at 2 in the morning. And once again, I got up to wake up my dad to show him the Comic-Con mood piece trailer. And I know he probably was sitting there what the fuck is this kid doing? But, I mean, we were both excited. We were both just glad that we were getting a new big lizard movie. Yes, he was probably mad as shit at me for waking him up, especially because I'm 99% sure he had work the next day. But, hey, we were both hype as hell, and we both, that one little glimpse of Godzilla that you see at the very end, hey, we was on board. Also remember creating that one bug from the mood piece trailer out of clay for this this Godzilla short film I was working on that never got finished, like Vishnu or something, I don't know. It wasn't actually his name, but we dubbed him that because the trailer had that quote from Oppenheimer, and like as soon as you see the bug, it says, and Vishnu takes on his multi-armed form. The Godzilla fandom just like runs with shit like that at sometimes, I swear. Now, I am still mad as hell that we never saw that monster. Legendary, if you're watching this video, you want a way to make the fans happy, bring that from the mood piece trailer back. But then, December 10th, 2013 rolled around. And, what a legendary trailer. No pun intended. Absolutely up there as like contender for like best teaser trailer for any movie ever. Like I like the trailer better than the movie, to be completely honest with you. I still like the movie, but the eerie chorus and like the halo jump descending down into San Francisco that just looks like angels descending into hell, like Gareth Edwards like described it as, before you finally see what Godzilla looks like. It just, oh my god, dude, it's so good. It hits, bro. Now that 5-month wait from the teaser trailer to the release date, it was a little bit agonizing for me, I won't lie, but man, that release day, May 16th, 2014, that date is burned into my skull, burned into it, I tell you. So I think it was state testing the day that the movie came out, and no one kidded me. I probably rushed through that shit, but I rushed through that test and I said, yo, Dad, let's go watch the big lizard. So he picked both me and my sister up. We went to the nicest theater we could find, relatively close to us, and we watched Big Lizard movie, Godzilla 2014, directed by Gareth motherfucking Edwards. And man, when I tell you that the theater experience for watching this movie went unmatched for about almost 10 years, like, oh my god, dude. Regardless how I feel about the film nowadays, which, you know, I still like it. I think it's still a really good movie, but on that first watch, bro, I was locked the fuck in. And the lack of Godzilla screen time in the beginning really didn't even bother me all that much. I was just glad to be alive when a new Godzilla film came out. I finally had a Godzilla movie that came out, and it was for my generation, for me. And back then, that was all I needed. I just wanted to see a Godzilla movie in theaters, man. I'd only ever seen them at home on like Crackle or like on DVD or something. And so, you know, to finally, you know, sit down in the theater and watch it as it, like the day it comes out, like it was just, oh my, man. I'll never forget that day. I also watched Pacific Rim opening day too, I think. That's all I wanted as a kid. That's all I needed. And I finally had it. I finally had it after all those years of waiting. Now, of course, because I was a child, we went to the Kingdom, Toys R Us, right after the movie ended. Rest in peace. I got that absolutely goated little play set with the Golden Gate Bridge and like Godzilla and the female Muto, and it comes with all of like the buildings and the boat and all that other shit. Now, I lost all the vehicles. I don't know where the vehicles went, but I do still have the buildings and the Golden Gate Bridge. I actually painted the Golden Gate Bridge, the movie colors, so it actually looks accurate now. I also got, oh, hold on, let me grab it. I also got this bad boy, the NECA Godzilla 2014, which was my first ever articulated Godzilla. Absolutely, at the time, was my favorite Godzilla figure, and was my first introduction into the more premium, more higher quality, higher priced Godzilla collectibles, which I have a bunch of just like sitting right above me. And then like 2 days after the movie came out, they greenlit a sequel. And not only that, they announced that it was going to have not only Rodan, not only Mothra, but King Ghidorah. And the film went on to be a huge box office success. It started the MonsterVerse as we know it. So yeah, needless to say, the Reiwa Era came out swinging, brother. It came out swinging. Now, obviously, Toho was not about to have Legendary have all the glory here. Not only that, we didn't know it was going to be another 5 years before Godzilla King of the Monsters would come out. So in March 2015, it was announced that Hideaki Anno from Neon Genesis Evangelion would be directing Shin Godzilla, and that Shinji Higuchi would be producing, co-producing. I don't remember the roles. I'll put up the correct roles on the screen. I should have done the research for this video. Oh my god. The road to Shin was like a weird one. My tastes in Godzilla media in general at this time were a little different. I was pretty much all the way, ooh, I like when big monster fight big monster. I really had only seen the original 1954 movie once. And like I said, where I was younger, I couldn't fully appreciate it at the time. But I was still excited when they announced that Shin was a solo Godzilla movie that was going to be more of kind of a horror, kind of back to basics, back to the roots of Godzilla kind of deal. But yeah, the plot leaks, different, like... I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't with Shin leading up to the build-up of it. Now, that's crazy for me to say, because I literally have, like, the Shin posters, like, right there. I have a Shin Godzilla long sleeve somewhere in this closet, and then I have the Shin Godzilla Blu-ray, and I have the NECA figure. I wish I had the SH Monster Arts, or that Hayao would make one, but yeah, all those leaks coming out about Godzilla evolving from, like, this tadpole-ish kind of form throughout the movie. I was weirded out by it at first, but of course, who would I be if I didn't go watch the movie and made my opinion for myself? So I think it came out in America in October of 2016. It was during football season, and I had to skip football practice for it. Thank God I did football. That so worth skipping practice for that movie. But yeah, then I actually saw the movie, and I came out of it like questioning my existence pretty much. But I also overall really enjoyed it, and you know, my love for the movie would only grow over like the coming weeks. I didn't know exactly what I thought of it when I came out, but I knew I liked it. I knew I really liked it. And for a good while, it was my #1 Godzilla film of all time. It really was. Currently, it's ranked either 3rd or 4th. I don't remember. I'll have the Letterboxd ranking screenshot thing right there. But yeah, it's still a top 5 Godzilla movie. It's still an absolute slapper. That was another thing on the bucket list, was to see a Japanese one in theaters as well. Shin would then be followed by the Netflix anime trilogy. I guess I'll talk about those. See, now I really like the anime trilogy in concept. I think it's a fantastic concept. First off, Godzilla in anime, yeah. Like, I love Godzilla, the animated series, of the 98 one, redeemed the TriStar Godzilla for me, honestly. So, yeah, I was down for, like, actual, like, anime, like, Japanese anime. Of course I was down for that. And Godzilla in futuristic setting with, like, spaceships, because I love sci-fi. Yeah, give me that shit, boy. But it's the execution, man. The execution just left so much to be desired, bro. I'm just gonna come out and say it, man. The animation, it is ass. No disrespect to the people that worked on this movie. I'm sure you worked your asses off. But man, it does not look good. I'll admit, I have hated the cel-shaded 3D anime look since I saw it. I don't like it in that. I don't like it in Pacific Rim to Black, even though that's a really good show. I actually like Pacific Rim to Black. I didn't like it in Gamma Rebirth. Like, yes, there is some great media that has been made with it, but to me, it is inferior in every way to the look of actual anime. Now, they could have taken it a route, maybe stylize it like Spider-Verse, but Spider-Verse wasn't out for another year at that point. I'm still wanting a Godzilla movie in a similar animation style. I don't want it to copy it outright, but I want a similar animation style. Now, the first one, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It was an okay start. I actually really like Godzilla's design, to be honest. I think Godzilla Earth's design is actually really cool. He didn't really do a whole lot in the movie. He kind of just was like, for the whole movie. So the human character was very drab, but you know, I thought the sci-fi stuff was cool. I thought the spaceships and all that was really neat, and I thought, you know, Godzilla was really good size. He was like, what, 300 feet, and then they say, psych, that was like a baby one. The real Godzilla was like 1,000 feet tall. Now, you know, size is subjective, whatever, but that's just crossing the point of like too big to me. Like, at that point, like, Godzilla could just like breathe, and then just like half of like the city is just gone. Like, he's just too big at that point. 1,000 feet's way too big. And it may not be exactly 1,000 feet. I think it's like 900 something, but you get the point. Now, I can deal with a bad or a mid Godzilla movie every once in a while. You know, the franchise has had plenty of them over the years. I can deal with that. But But nothing would prepare for me for the next 2 movies. Now, I ain't even gonna say much about City on the Edge of Battle. All I'll say is, as a Mechagodzilla glazer, as a Mechagodzilla stan, this movie pissed me off. Like, I genuinely, like, oh my god, it infuriated me while watching it. This is like, I think this is one of the only times that my opinion on a movie, like, in the middle of it, has been what it is ever since. Just, this is ass. I don't think the way I worded that made any sense, but you get the point. It actually is, like, at the bottom of the entire franchise for me. It is my least favorite movie in the entire franchise. Like, I low-key wish it didn't exist. Once again, not trying to disrespect all the people's hard work on it, but, like, poster is false advertising, too. Now, Planet Eater was a little better. There were some elements I liked about it. Like, I thought, you know, Ghidorah coming out of a black hole was cool. I kind of wish the whole body came through, though. But, you know. And then him having a cult kind of like Cthulhu is really awesome. I think that's a really great thing to give Ghidorah. Doesn't have to be every version, but, you know, it's a really neat addition to that version. And then it's still an in-joke between me and my friends this day, but the Connect Life that cracked me the fuck up, man. Long story short, though, spaecii is not rocking with the anime trilogy. I do not rock with it. Now, after being subjected to the trilogy of all time, Legendary's Godzilla would finally return to theaters in 2019 with Godzilla King of the Mother Monsters, directed by Michael Dougherty. This would also mark the first time since 2004 that any non-Godzilla Toho kaiju had appeared in a film. And like I said, it had been 5 years since the last film, so you know, this was a long-awaited movie. The hype for this movie, just like 2014, was insane, but it was like a different type of hype. And I won't lie to y'all, a lot of it was because we knew who was going to be in the movie with Rodan, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, and that Legendary had promised us there was going to be more monster action, which, you know, they pretty much delivered on, pretty much. I would say they kind of overpromised, but they still gave us a good amount, I think, overall. It's definitely more than what was in the first movie. Now, 2014 came out when I was at the end of elementary school. King of the Monsters came out when I was like a little over halfway, almost 3/4 of the way through high school. That's how long it had been since the last one. And once again, it came out in May, so I had a test to take before the movie. Once again, I'm 99% sure that, knowing me in school, I rushed that just so I'd get done with it quicker so I could go watch Godzilla King of the Monsters sooner. Now, needless to say, walking out of that theater, I was so happy. Basically, all of the complaints that I had from Godzilla 2014, like the lack of Godzilla screen time, the lack of the traditional music, which is another big thing that made me love the original Godzillas, and it was part of the reason that I'm so into making music and everything nowadays. And then, you know, getting classic Toho kaiju rather than the Mutos, you know, that was also kind of a thing I really wanted. So yeah, needless to say, King of the Monsters was my jam back in 2019. That was my movie of the year. I spent all year telling everybody, Avengers Endgame sucks. Watch Godzilla King of the Monsters instead. It's so much better. Now, I'm not as much of a King of the Monsters glazer as I used to be, but I will stand on that. King of the Monsters sweeps Endgame. I'm sorry. I'm saying it. Now, if you know me personally, my opinions on both of the legendary Godzilla movies has changed drastically over the years. Both of them I went through a period of loathing their existence because people on the internet gaslit me into thinking they were both ass. Yes, obviously, neither of these movies are perfect. Take it from me. There's plenty of better Godzilla movies, plenty of better kaiju movies in general. But man, there are also so many worse kaiju movies out there, and there's so many just worse movies in general. So, like, to pretend that, like, King of the Monsters is, like, one of the worst in the franchise, like, I'm sorry, you're stupid. Both of these movies I would give, like, a 7 out of 10 for different reasons. 2014, it's more like the tone, the atmosphere, the CGI, even though, you know, half the movie's like a pitch black. Just the general, like, mood and, like, aura that the film had, and like some of the acting and stuff in it, because while I don't think the humans were amazing in that movie, the humans that were good in it were great. Like, Bryan Cranston was fantastic for what little bit he was in it. And then obviously King of the Monsters, it's the exact opposite. It's, you know, the monster action, the soundtrack, the badass battles, the cinematography. Don't be like me and let people gaslight you into thinking you love is ass. Just don't be like me. Now, sadly, King of the Monsters did not do good at the box office at all. I think it made like, what, 380 million, something like that. Now, it wasn't a bomb, but it like barely broke even. It's about like how Transformers Rise of the Beast did this year, which also breaks my fucking heart. And it's a big shame, but it's definitely due to the fucking competition. Avengers Endgame just came out, and that was some historical ass. Now, this had brought a fear to many of us that our beloved MonsterVerse would be ending prematurely. I was one of the people that genuinely thought that we wouldn't even get Godzilla vs. Kong. But luckily, this rematch would be so iconic that it would turn the tables once again in the favor of our favorite radioactive lizard. Godzilla vs. Kong took a very risky move in being the first film to come out in the middle of the pandemic era. So the lack of competition and it being the first film to come out in cinemas and on HBO Max and all that, you know, it basically resuscitated the MonsterVerse. And, you know, it was crazy to me because leading up to the movie, I'm not going to lie, I thought there was no way in hell that Godzilla vs. Kong was going to be any good. I always was staunchly, as a kid, I was like, they need to team up rather than fight, which, you know, we're going to get to that. And then the fact that Adam Wingard was directing the movie, and my only experience with Adam's work before that movie was the Netflix Death Note. Yeah. I was not confident in Godzilla vs. Kong at all. But somehow, it managed to be a banger. Although it's definitely too short. But, thank the Lord, the world felt the same as I did. The world loved Godzilla vs. Kong. Content creators that I was used to, like, doing just, like, main, like, trendy shit were doing videos on Godzilla vs. Kong. Like, I remember watching I'm Dante do reactions to it. All these different YouTubers I was watching do reactions to it. And I was sitting there, I was like, oh my god, they're finally doing it. And the film did really good considering the circumstances. Made, what, like 400 million, something like that, off the lowest budget in the entire MonsterVerse. And thank God, it did so good that we got not only a TV show that's actually pretty good, but we're about to get this insane-ass movie that I cannot wait to see. Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. GVK would be followed up with another Netflix anime series, Godzilla Singular Point, which this time was actually kind of decent. Now, I'm not too keen on Singular Point. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It is just a worse Shin Godzilla at the end of the day with extra monsters thrown in. But it did give us like the first Jet Jaguar and Anguirus appearance since God knows when. So I'll take it. So yeah, even with the flaws, I can't fault Singular Point too much. I'll give it its credit. Will Singular Point ever follow up on that Mechagodzilla post-credit scene? Because I really love that Mechagodzilla design where I love the Showa one. I don't think we're gonna get season 2. We haven't heard from it in like, what, 3 years now? I don't think it's happening. I feel like we definitely would have gotten an announcement at this point. It's a shame though. I do feel like it would have got better as it went on, but it is what it is. But I will say they should definitely make a series out of the final credits with all of those different monsters, ones that weren't even in the show. Yeah, come on. Make that. Give me that. The next wave of Godzilla content, however, would change everything. Now let's talk a little bit more about that career-defining generational run that my boy had not too long ago. First, we got Monarch Legacy of Monsters, which came out in November, or started coming out in November. Yes, I know Godzilla Minus One technically came out first because it came out in November 3rd in Japan, but I live in America, so go figure. Now, while Monarch left a lot to be desired, I will admit it is so much better than I anticipated it to be. I was expecting it to be a dumpster fire before it came out. That, and I didn't know anything about Apple TV's like quality of their product, so I was anticipating a low budget dog TV show. The show actually had some really great character development, especially with my boy Lee Shaw, and it included some new connecting tissue that actually made all 4 of the MonsterVerse movies gel together better than they did before the show came out. Now, yes, some of it does potentially retcon some great moments in the comics, and that is tragic. But a It is what it is. And plus, we also got some kick-ass Godzilla scenes, especially that fight with the Ion Dragon. So good. Yes, it may be a very short-lived fight, and yes, Godzilla may only be in the show for like 4 minutes, but the 4 minutes he's on screen is some of the best in the entire MonsterVerse. And then the talk of the town. I'm sure whether you are a Godzilla fan or not, you've heard Godzilla -1. I'm not going to get super into it because I do want to do an actual proper review of the movie. All I'll say is, what do you think I thought of it? Like, genuinely, what do you think I thought of it? Like, favorite movie of all time. Like, it instantly became, like, as soon as I watched it, and I went to the theater 2 more times, watched it in the black and white version minus color, which I actually prefer the black and white version because I love the original 1954 black and white. So, yeah, after 3 watches, I can confidently say, man, that's, oh my God. Now, yes, I know everyone on the internet is glazing Godzilla -1 right now, but let me have this. I've wanted a Godzilla film that not only I love, but everyone else sees the beauty of. For years, let me have this. It's my 2 cents. But yeah, man, I'm so glad I got to see that movie in theaters 3 times. Like, oh my God. And the movie made, what, like $100-some million off like a $12 million budget. And it is the first movie in the entire franchise to be nominated for an Oscar. I swear if it doesn't win, it's rigged. But yeah, after that movie, all of a sudden, everyone's a Godzilla fan. A lot of new fans. Some fake fans. I have caught a few of those out in the wild. Normally, that would piss me off, but seeing as back in the day, I literally had to like beg and convince my friends and colleagues and all that to watch Godzilla media with me. I see this as nothing but a win, man. And then after all that, we got our first look at the newest entry into the MonsterVerse, Godzilla Kong, the New Empire. And yeah, those new fans were really annoying around this time. Oh my God, y'all were buzzkills. Now, public opinion has definitely shifted since the second trailer came out. I will admit it is a much better trailer. But y'all were being annoying as when that first trailer came out. Oh my God. It literally felt like I was the only defending that movie for like a solid bit other than the hardcore MonsterVerse fans, which, you know, there's a little bit of brain rot there, but you can't win them all. You can't win them all. But you know, I'm glad to see the discussion on this Godzilla Kong, the New Empire movie to start shifting into a more positive direction, because I've been looking forward to this movie since it got announced. And look, I don't care what anyone says. I was rocking with the Godzilla Evolved design the moment it got leaked. I may have something in my Snapchat that proves that. I'm gonna look for it. If not, you're just going to have to take my word for it. But as a hardcore Godzilla 2000 and Tokyo SOS fan, and now, this is where I talk about the reason why I wanted to make this video. Now, if you're like me and involved with Godzilla discussion on the internet at all, you've probably heard this same kind of saying, kind of phrase about 1,000 times at this point. But, you know, the reason the Godzilla franchise has lasted for now 70 years is because of its versatility, its ability to not only be super serious, dramatic, dark, and metaphors for all these different things that happen in real life, but also the silly, goofy, dumbass, just over-the-top blockbuster action. That is what makes the Godzilla franchise so great, is that you have both ends of the spectrum. You have movies that go far into the like dark and depressing with Godzilla -1 and Shin Godzilla, and then you have stuff like Final Wars or like Godzilla Kong the New Empire that's getting ready to come out, or like, you know, Godzilla vs. Megalon that just is just silly, just off the walls, just bonkers. That is the reason that the Godzilla franchise has lasted so long, is its versatility in subject matter, content, tone, etc. Just some of the goofiest, silliest films I've ever seen. And in my opinion, no era better encapsulates that than the current era we are in, the Reiwa Era. In a decade alone, we have got, I think, 9 new Godzilla films. That's more than the Heisei era and the Millennium Era. Not combined, but, you know, individually. 2 new Godzilla shows, one of them being live action and one of them being an anime. An endless amount of new comic books, a lot of new video game crossovers, and only one actual new video game. Yeah, we need to work on that part still. Oh, I forgot there's Godzilla Voxel Wars. I haven't played it, but the 74 people on Steam that reviewed it said it's pretty good, so I'll give them that one. But regardless, I believe that we are currently living in literally the best era of the Godzilla franchise at all. Like, we are at a career high right now. From having a decade-running long franchise that's interconnected with the MonsterVerse to beautiful just masterpieces of film like -1 and Shin Godzilla, to more experimental stuff like the anime trilogy and Singular Point. You know, there's a Godzilla project for literally everyone at this point. I guarantee you, there is not a single person that I couldn't find one Godzilla movie that they liked. Unless they were just outright, they just don't like kaiju movies. And as someone who loves both ends of the Godzilla spectrum, man, my heart is filled with just nothing but joy and happiness just watching all these new projects come out, seeing all these new fans finally getting into it for the first time, all these kids get to grow up with these brand new just amazing projects I wish I had, man. And yeah, seeing all the new fans, even if some of them are the same people that told me Godzilla was stupid back in the day, seeing all these new fans getting into it, you know, I can't help but be happy, man. It just makes me so happy. Seeing this finally get the love and respect that he deserves is just something I've been wanting for years, and it's finally happened, and I could not be happier. Above all, my brothers and sisters, the Godzilla franchise is alive, and I can confidently say there's never been a better time to be a Godzilla fan. Before this video ends, I do want to acknowledge my very jank setup here. I'm going to try and get a green screen sometime soon. That way I can be standing in front of footage and stuff off. But yeah, I have a broken iPhone ring light thing holding up my phone, mounted on top of a stepladder, sitting in front of my bed right now. So, you know, it's not the ideal setup, but hey, we thug it out. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, follow me on Instagram to keep up to date for when I'm going to be dropping new videos, and subscribe to the main channel too, because I definitely will be starting to post more on there again. I got some music content getting ready to come out there, so yeah. Thank you all for watching. First video on the brand new channel, spaecii Raids again. I'm very excited. It's just life coming full circle at this point. You know, we ball. Yeah, thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.